Okay, good evening. It feels like I'm talking to myself, but I don't think I am. I think I can welcome a few people to the Cotswold Rides and our meet and greet. You'll see Kate's on the call muted. She's been demoted and is just taking notes this evening. I'm the other Katy, the slightly more budget version, but I do know lots about this ride. So I've guided the first season and helped develop the ride from here in HQ. And you're going to see me this summer. Looking forward to riding with all of you. Tom, who is our fabulous ride partner, I'm hoping he's going to join the call later, but he's not here yet, which is slightly his style. So I would like to welcome you all. Please introduce yourself on the chat. Let me find out where you're tuning in from and when you're coming to the Cotswolds. And then, yeah, hopefully we can go through some of the burning questions that you're going to have. I'm sure things like what to bring and how the first day is going to pan out and what to expect. I'm hoping to settle all of your pre-ride nerves and make sure you're bringing all the right stuff with you. And if you've got specific questions, then I can't wait to field them. So thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure there'll be a few people coming in the next couple of minutes, so we'll just gather the troops. But yeah, give me a live chat. Let me know who you are and where you're tuning in from. And welcome to everybody. I can see a few folks typing. Whilst you type, I'm going to keep talking. I get pretty good at this. So I'm sure some of the things that you're hoping to bottom out in this webinar are things like getting to the start of the ride and where I scoop you up and what kind of information you're going to get. So I think I'll start with just a quick run through day one. Hopefully you're all arriving in the UK either on the first day, so arrival day on your itinerary, or possibly even a day early. But we ask you to arrive at the Hotel Tortworth Court for 12 noon. Now, your rooms won't actually be ready until after we get back from our first ride. So it's usually check-in at 3. Some of the rooms might be ready, but yeah, don't expect to be able to change when you get there. But they do have a lovely spa and plenty of changing areas. So if you need to change into riding kit before the first briefing at 12, it's perfectly possible at the Leaf Spa. If you're coming in from London, you'll probably be in the car a couple of hours. If you're picking up a hire car, give yourself kind of an extra 20 minutes at the airport to sort that out. But yeah, it's basically a straight shoot down the M4 and then a junction up the M5. You'll just go round Bristol and back up. And you should be at Tortworth Court within a couple of hours. What else do you need to know about arrivals? We feed you on arrival. You'll meet me in the library bar, and I will have shuffled lots of paper, and I'll be giving you a little amenity kit with some things that I think might be useful for your week. You will feel over the week that there's a lot of driving to the ride meets and back again. I give each driver a little driver's guide, so I'm going to help you a lot with the directions and with just planning your days so that you get to the ride meets feathers unruffled. And I'm going to give everybody a written itinerary as well. So one really important point to note about the Cotswold Rides is that we try and take advantage and kind of catch the wave of the English summer throughout the summer. So each week we'll have a non-riding day that hopes to include like a fabulous county show or a special festival or something that really captures the essence of the English summer, particularly from a kind of an equestrian's point of view. So it could be a game fair, it could be, like I say, a big county show. So next week, for example, we're taking them to the Royal Bath and West Show, which is one of the most famous kind of agricultural shows in England. And it's just this cornucopia of animals and horses and children and displays and sheep shearing and terrier racing and ferrets and just anything that you can imagine on the non-riding day, which is a huge amount of fun. But they're all different. I suppose that's what I'm trying to say. Each week will not be a mirror of the one that's gone before. So your itinerary won't be the same as somebody who's not booked on the same ride as yours. So for each departure, I'll produce a kind of paper day by day. Similarly, the book of rides, we shuffle around based on what else is going on in the area, if we're likely to hit traffic, if the weather's going to be against us. So yeah, the order of the rides that you do, and sometimes the rides themselves, we will cherry pick for the group and the week and the conditions and the travel and other aspects. So you'll get your itinerary and you'll get tickets to whatever you need tickets for. You'll get a cracking sandwich from the hotel, and some of those really chunky chips, like the really good chips with a lot of sauces. And if you haven't filled in your rider form from Tom, so a little waiver form, you'll sit on my laptop for a couple of minutes and just get your paperwork up to date. So all of that welcome briefing takes about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. And then we go riding. Actually, let's say an hour. I'm getting pretty good at getting through the spiel now. I'll cover off things like riding in the group, so that the etiquette of handling the horses in a group. I like to assume that people don't have lots of experience in group rides. And 12 or 13 horses out together in the Cotswolds is a lot. So we give you some guidance on do's and don'ts. I let you know what would happen if you fell off and, I don't know, did yourself a mischief, like where the nearest trauma centre is and who'd be taking you. So I cover off the worst case scenarios, and then hopefully we just go to the ride and none of those things come to pass. If you've got questions so far, have I got anything that I need to cover? I've got my chat open, by the way, so I should be able to see anything that you're addressing to me directly. If all of this is good, I'm just going to keep talking, but please stop me if there's anything that you need me to cover in the meantime. So the first ride, we've always done it in the same place, which is this beautiful estate called Frampton on Severn. So it's kind of a miniature stately home, and it's at the top of the largest village green in England. So it doesn't get any more kind of Cotswold than that. This beautiful big village green with this gorgeous, glorious, miniature castle right on the front lawns and little lakes out in front of you. And we ride across farm fields, so it's almost a field and track hack for day one, and we'd be out for about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, no more than that. It's just an opportunity to get comfortable, get those kind of initial nerves out. We expect everyone to be a little cautious and a little tentative on that first ride. And I still feel it myself. Like, I've ridden a lot of different horses in a lot of different countries, and still you put your foot in the stirrup of a strange horse and you just think, oh, how's this going to go? And we absolutely expect that and kind of hold your hand through that. Tom and Claire, who are our ride partners, they run the horse side of things. They are highly, highly experienced. So Tom would be in his 30s, and Claire, I don't know, but she's worked for Dave Gilding, Tom's father, for longer than Tom has been alive. So we tease her a lot about this, but yeah, she is basically the boss, and she would be the person who will be assigning horses to riders. She's taken all of your rider forms and read all about your experience to date. And so, yeah, she tends not to get it wrong. We absolutely allow for people to switch horses if they don't gel with the one they've been assigned. But in the first season, and we've done 7 departures now, it's happened a handful of times, and it's been a matter of taste rather than a matter of safety or comfort or anything more serious than that. So if you don't like your horse, you're more than welcome to tell us and we will do something about it. But in general, yeah, by at the end of day one, people might feel like I've got too much horse on my hands. Like, they are, they're bright and bustling and they're fit hunters. By the end of the week, people tend to be flying. I think if I could encourage you, I would like to do so. That I think most people at dinner on day one think, whoa, it's a lot of horse that I'm riding. Like, they are really fit, talented horses. They hunt all winter, they team chase, they do all sorts. There's a couple of quite decent eventers in the herd as well. So they have a lot of talent and they have quite a lot of power. And yeah, people are like, oh, I thought it was just going to be a gentle trail ride. It is. And they do settle into a gentle trail ride. And most people, by the time we do the last couple of rides, so the Sunday and the Monday rides after the non-riding day, they're flying and they're having so much fun. So yeah, I would encourage you to put your brave boy pants on, excuse me, boys that are watching, brave rider pants on, and go for it. There are some really, really fun wind in the hair canters and some really game horses. And a lot of freedom on this ride. I feel we try to not be too prescriptive about which horses follow which. We expect you and invite you to manage your horse and manage the distance between your horse and the one in front. And if he wants to be up front because he's up and bustly, then you're welcome to ride up front, as long as you don't pass Tom if Tom's leading, or me if I'm leading. Try and stay behind the field master. It's like old hunting etiquette. And yeah, beyond that, we see this lovely kind of shoal of horses, sometimes spread out, sometimes clustered together. There is enough space in most of the rides that we're doing that it never feels like a nose to tail trek or trail ride. That's not what this is. And yeah, I think most people really appreciate that aspect of it, the fun and the freedom of the rides themselves. Lead it. Oh, is it a hands-on ride? Yeah, this is a good question. Okay, so we will start by presenting you with your horse saddled, and there'll be like a name tag across the back of the saddle with your names on. It helps us learn who's who really quickly. And okay, I'm not getting questions. Okay. Sorry, let me just check this question. Yeah, okay. How do guests get matched up for the ride, and are you riding the same horse the whole time? That's a great question. So you get matched to your horses based on what we read in your booking forms. So not just height and weight, though that's obviously a really significant factor. The horses are different sizes, so there's a simple physics element, but then also taste and the kind of riding that you've done in the past. Tom's got a magnificent set of hunters, and they vary from kind of big thoroughbreds, pure thoroughbreds, to Irish sport horses, to a couple of warm bloods, to a couple of cobs, a couple of Irish drafts. So they would go from a proper heavyweight cob to a much sportier, leaner kind of ex-racehorse type. He's got a couple of ponies as well, and some lovely kind of more steady cobs. But even the steady cobs have to be able to keep up on the hunting field. So these are all pretty sporty horses. They are pretty adjustable. So they're happy to relax. They're happy to go in whatever order they happen to be. You'll see that if you're on, there's a couple of mares who like to keep their space, as mares usually do. And there's a couple of really independent horses who don't like to be in the crowd. And that aside, there are no specific rules about horses, which ones can go with others. So you can ride with your friends. You don't need to worry that, oh, this horse doesn't like that horse. Which again, I think most riders who've done a lot of group riding or horse trekking really appreciate. They're a very no nonsense herd of horses. And then, can you change horses? Yeah, we're not really expecting you to. Like, we would hope that we've guessed pretty well, but you are welcome to swap out if you're not getting on with your horse for whatever reason, or if you just really like the look of somebody else's horse and they say, yeah, no, I like the look of yours. We've had that. We've had some straight swaps on the Cotswold Ride. There was one lady she was really disappointed not to be on an Irish cob, and we were like, oh, I don't think we said Irish cobs, but okay, there was one cob in the herd, and somebody else said, well, I'd swap off, yours looks nice. And they swapped horses, and they found Nirvana right there. So what else? I'm seeing some more questions now. Oh, they're coming thick and fast. Right. Okay, let me take your questions. Tanya asks, how are saddles? Should I bring my own? So you don't have the option to bring your own saddle, Tanya, but the saddles are, they're a good set of GPs in pretty good condition. I would say the tack is, are they hard saddles? No. Picture your kind of Albion eventing GPs. He's got a couple of Fairfaxes and sort of higher quality ones for the eventers. Most of them are going in either an Albion or a Kiefer GP. They're pretty comfy, they're pretty squashy. I had a baby at the beginning of last year, and I managed on his saddles all summer. Let that be your guide. If you do want to bring a seat saver, we smirk, but we all use them all the time. That's completely fine. Hand it to Tom or Claire on arrival, and we'll get it on your saddle as quickly as we can. And if you don't know whether you want a seat saver, I can send you a link to one that I used last year, which I think is excellent and does fit on the saddles. I don't think they're needed, but any fool can be uncomfortable. So please, if you are of the pointy seat-boned variety, yeah, don't be a hero. Definitely not. Also, I live in Bristol. I live just about half an hour from the hotel. And if you need to get supplies, if you can find it on Amazon, you can get it shipped to my house and I can bring it to the ride the next day. So I have done that. I bought a couple of seat savers for some of the riders last year and distributed them just before, the longest ride in the Malvern Hills. So yeah, we've got experience of kitting out the finer boned ladies on the trips. Okay. What else have we got? What to expect weather-wise? Okay. Mackenzie, it's going to depend on which departure. I'm really sorry. It's going to be one of those annoying "it depends" kind of answers. British summer, right? How to describe that? I've lived through like 42 of them, so I should have a good handle on this by now. And yet, I'm going to give you some examples of riding last year. So there was a day riding in Western Arboretum where it rained so hard, the water was like splashing up off the ground towards the horses, and the steam was coming out of the forest. It was like being in Jurassic Park. That is the only day of the 6 departures last year where I remember being like so wet it was funny. There were a couple of other days where we put rain jackets on. But I would say in all cases, we could tell that we were going to get wet before we got on the horses. So everyone just had their rain gear on. It was a total non-issue. We don't have saddlebags on these horses. You can tie up your rain jacket and kind of have it on the cantle of your saddle, or you can tie it around your waist. But in general, in England, you put the kit on that you think you're going to ride in, and you ride in it. You might tie your sweater around your waist if you need to take it off, but basically you just dress and then go riding. So you don't have the option to have multiple layer changes on you during the ride. But like I say, we only got caught out, and even then we weren't caught out. We put rain jackets on. I just hadn't expected it to be like a biblical storm, which is what we got. But the horses don't give a shit, right? Like they go hunting all winter in England. Biblical weather happens 3 times a week and they live out. So the horses don't mind. And we thought it was kind of funny. And then we went to the pub and had a fantastic Sunday roast, and the steam was coming off us. On the other side of the fence, there was a heat wave in July last year, which was so astonishing to us Brits because, we don't really see 35 degrees plus. And there are laws in the UK where you can't travel horses in over 30 degrees unless you have an air-conditioned box. Now, we don't have an air-conditioned box. Like Tom's got, 2 hunting lorries. They are tin cans. So we knew we would not legally be able to travel the horses during the heat wave. And we ended up doing the meet for the Malvern ride. So this is the longest, probably the toughest and certainly the most technical ride of the week, starting at 4 a.m. So I told my riders that, we were going to go at 4 a.m. to the Malverns, and we were going to see the sun come up. And that was probably one of the most beautiful rides of my life. Not only did everyone show up in great spirits at 4 a.m., and we saddled the horses under the light of this full moon the night before. We were climbing, and you could hear the horses breathing and you could hear their footfalls, but we genuinely did mount up in the dark, and we saw the sun come up over the Malvern Hills at like 5:30 in the morning, and we were back down by 8:30. Had a cracking ploughman's breakfast and a bit of champagne as well. We do like a good picnic on the Cotswolds Ride. That's something that you should be aware of. We love a nice spread, always a tablecloth, always cheeses, and usually some fizz as well. We were eating our picnic by 8:30 and the horses were in a box to go home at 9 a.m. So You might get another heat wave. We are obviously on the leading edge of climate change, and it's quite difficult to predict. You need to bring a decent waterproof, no matter which departure you're on, and you need to just have your kit in the car. Basically, the ride meet is our chance to weather check. And usually there's kind of a half hour or a 45-minute drive to the ride meet. Um, and yeah, have a look at the sky. Like if Tom and I are wearing our heavy stuff, put your heavy stuff on. Um, I tend to ride in like one long sleeve base layer and a shirt, like one of my Globetrotting shirts. Make sure you get some merch if you don't already. That keeps the wind off, that keeps the sun off, that keeps the flies off if there's flies. I don't find I get too hot and sweaty, and I don't find I get chilled either. So yeah, maybe like one light layer and then one shirt, and maybe cover your neck as well. Those would be my layering advices. What else? Do we encounter any other crazy weather? No. No, English summer should be pretty benign. Like you should be looking at kind of early to mid 20s and dry-ish. If it's going to rain, it's going to rain hard. But there is a real beauty in that. And as I say, the horses love it. They just go even better. So in a way, you kind of want to do the rain dance. What is the dress code when we're not riding? Oh, I love that question. Okay. Let's see. Bring some glad rags because we'll do a welcome dinner and a farewell dinner at Tortworth Court. And it is, you don't have to dress up, but there is a kind of grandeur to the hotel, which most people quite enjoy just going fancy. And then we will try and do a night out somewhere. So when Gifford Circus is within range, we take you to the circus. I mean, again, it's such a family night out. You don't need to be dressed for anything in particular. But like I'm a single mum. I don't get out much. I like to put something nice on because it feels nice and it makes it feel like a nice occasion. And I think it is an occasion. This is your holiday. So yeah, bring something I don't know, slinkier or more stylish. And we'll do an afternoon tea as well. That's also at Tortworth Court at the hotel. And they put on a lovely spread. It's a really lovely occasion. And we'll have that out on the terrace. So yeah, there are some very stylish people kind of staying at the hotel. And I tend to number our clients as, yeah, the most stylish, really. We look nice when we're not on riding. But also, half the time you'll go to the socials still in your riding kit. So I find what people tend to enjoy is to ride between breakfast and lunch, and the timings can be quite relaxed. So we've got a good half day's riding window, and then get a good feed in either at the horse box. So we'll do a lovely picnic straight after the ride, or on the way home, we will do a feature meal somewhere. Rather than return to the hotel, try and scrub up, get everybody in taxis, and then go out again. That is actually quite difficult to administer. So yeah, I always say bring a hat if you get helmet hair. Bring a lipstick, just slap some of that on. Chaps, that doesn't apply to you. Or it could do. That's very discriminatory of me, isn't it? Put your lipstick on and then just be ready to go straight to the pub, because there's some cracking pubs in the Cotswolds and we like to show them off to you. What else? You don't need high heels for anything. If you've got a good pair of cowboy boots, they would see some decent usage whilst they're in the Cotswolds. That's it. That's a great question. Thank you. Okay, Mackenzie asks, any activities? Right. So non-riders, mum-in-law and almost 2-year-old. Oh, that's cool. They can definitely come to afternoon tea, and Tortworth Court is a beautiful place for a little one to just bomb around. Kind of the arboretum and the gardens, the outside space is phenomenal. So they will have a lovely time just staying close to home. Activities. Oh, well, definitely if you're coming on the June 10th trip, the Saturday, the non-riding day, would be a day at the Three Counties Show in Malvern, which again is one of the finest county shows on the English circuit. It's a wonderful day out. So I will bring my children because it's fun for them. And yeah, they'll be diluted in the crowds. You won't have to deal with them. But yeah, your 2-year-old will be absolutely astonished at like dancing diggers and racing Shetland ponies and the biggest bull that you've ever seen being led round by a 5-year-old child by its nose, etc. Amazing arena displays, beautiful livestock displays. Like that really is a cracking day out for people of any age, and there'll be loads and loads of children there. So yeah, definitely come on the non-riding day. Um, and I'm sure that we can rope you into some of the other activities as well. And they are all generally pretty horsey. Tom has also got a 3-year-old, so maybe we can run some sort of creche if you're interested. Yeah, good question. Have I got any others that come in? Are there any men in the group this year? We get one or two. Tom does tend to run a bit of a harem, if I'm honest. It was all ladies on our first departure this year. I think it's mostly ladies, or they are the husbands of one of the ladies on the group in general. Maybe we should start some sort of campaign. What is the food like on this ride? Okay, well, plentiful, seasonal. We try and impress you with our horsebox picnics. So Tom and I get pretty competitive with our picnicking. So you will have a ploughman spread and cakes made with the eggs laid by his own hens and ducks, and a side of salmon poached by my own fair hand, and a coronation chicken similarly that I've dashed off in between rides. Yeah, we're big fans of a nice long table with lots of sort of family style nice salads and nice tarts and pies and local cheeses and interesting charcuterie. And yeah, then we just give you a pile of plates and you can get stuck in. After probably 2 or 3 of the rides will be a post-ride picnic at the lorry, and then 2 or 3 of them will be a pub stop, or we're chasing back to the hotel to have a restaurant meal. Now, it's quite exhausting doing a la carte for a group of 10, 12, 13 people all week, and I think it's important for people to have a bit of breakout time from the group built in, like that they're not expected to be doing the group the whole time. So yeah, I tend to do a welcome dinner, which is everyone, and a farewell dinner, which is everyone, and then maybe one more statement meal out, which is, one table, one order, and yeah, one long sitting. And then for the nights where we're not doing a dinner as a group, I tend to say there's another restaurant at Tortworth Court called the Atrium, which is much more casual and you can't book a table there. And I say, like, if you still need a feed, so for example, the day where we have the afternoon tea, we tend to not get up from afternoon tea until about 4:30, 5 o'clock. Most people don't feel like eating a dinner, or they certainly don't until really quite late in the evening. So I say, look, if you want to scratch that itch and actually you do feel like you need a little something before bed, go to the Atrium, order yourself something, and then you can just put it on my bill to the Globetrotting room. So yeah, there's a couple of nights where I say, if you feel like you need a feed, that's how to get one. But I'm not going to host you and manage the order and expect you all to sit through 3 courses. Breakfast is, yeah, it's a good breakfast at Tortworth Court. Like, it's a big buffet. If you get, what's the word? I get a bit flummoxed with a massive hotel buffet breakfast. Like, I find it really hard to choose. So maybe stagger it through the week. They've got, every single station, they've got big cooked breakfast, they've got continentals, they've got everything on toast. It's a little overwhelming. And then they have a couple of coffee machines, ones where you kind of press a button to get a coffee out, which I don't think is great. So I have supplemented their coffees with, I will put in each of your rooms like a little jar of good ground coffee. And then I gift each of you a travel cup with a little press, so you can make your own coffee to go every morning before you ride, or bring it down to breakfast so that you're ready to then go out to the cars and go out to the rides. So yeah, breakfasts they're really good, they're really plentiful. Lunches, you'll either be having something straight after the ride, or we've got a booking somewhere which is going to be well worth a stop, or we'll chase back to the hotel to have the afternoon tea. Yeah, people are generally pretty complimentary about the food. Can I request a club-sized gelding? Absolutely, you can. Yeah, there are no saddlebags. You probably won't need water along the way. We don't carry any water on the horses. It's just like a kind of day hunting. There's a couple of rides where the horses stop at a trough, and we might pass the shop and we might get, if you were thirsty, we'd be able to get a bottle of water, but no one's ever really needed to carry their water on them. It's not something that we worry about. And then something that's going to surprise you about this ride. You might jump a couple of logs for the first time in 20, 30 years. I think these are the kind of horses that give you like your wings back. I've seen so many people who are like, oh, I used to do this back in the day. I don't think I could now. And then they spend 3 or 4 days riding with me and with Tom and feel like that, like, there's a log. I'm just gonna aim at it and jump it, and the horses just do it like it's nothing. I think people really get their courage back riding across this kind of country, and riding these kind of horses. So in fact, we offer the cross-country schooling as one of the options for the non-riding day. Like if you don't want to go to the show, or you actually just want to ride every single day, there is the chance to go and do a jumping session. There's quite a few people who thought they would never be the kind of rider who wants to do that on their holiday. And we've had a fair few go and do the cross-country schooling and think like it was just the best thing they ever did. Like they're so proud of themselves and they're so thrilled at having spent the day that way. So even if you thought that you were a definite no, maybe put yourself in the maybe pile, and we'll talk about it when I see you at some point this summer. Thank you so much for joining, and I hope that's been a useful introduction, and I hope it's also settled a few pre-race nerves. I can't wait to meet you and ride with you this summer and show you the best of my neighbourhood. So I think we are over time. My apologies. Thanks so much for joining. I really appreciate your attention. I can't wait to host you this summer. Take care.